What if I wanted to convey, like that melody I was playing before I was playing, right? And I wanted to start with the string section. So what I wanted to convey was an A minor chord, and a G major chord, and an F major chord. And I knew those were the notes I wanted to make. Then I could just go into this clip here, double click it, find those chords, right? We'll bring the volume down. And I know that an A minor chord consists of what? A, C, I hear somebody. Yeah, A, C, E, awesome, good. And this is why, like, we're going to have a great slide later that talks about music theory and how it pertains to production. This is why music theory, like I said, is your fail-safe, because I don't need gear.
If I can just interject.
Yes, absolutely.
You can do a lot with a little with this stuff. Like, for example, I think the most important part is the program. You know, if you have a limited budget, you know, the program is where you're gonna want to start. You know, the controllers will make it easier for you, will make your workflow quicker, but the program is the engine. This is Ableton Live Suite, which is a pile of sounds in it, lots of great sounds. So you can browse through. It's almost like having a keyboard with a bunch of sounds built into your computer with a bunch of recording techniques. So, yeah.
Okay, so those three chords, all I did was I went into this clip. I made it. I know that in music theory, time signature is important, and you're in 4/4 time here. So I made something that was 4 bars long. I dialed in, and if you play the MIDI notes on a keyboard and it's plugged in and your keyboard and software is set up, when you play them, they'll pop up here in little red, so you can tell. You can just play like, okay, so these are the chords I want to do. So I just come in here and I can double click notes, and there's different tools. You can press Command B, I think it is, to draw kind of like that kind of stuff, which is of course easy. But all I did was I found those notes on the keyboard, played the A minor chord, dragged it out to 1 bar long. As you can see, there's time signature here. I put the G chord next, and I put two F major chords. Press play again. And I'll put the metronome on so you can hear it in time. And it sounds kind of like thin and kind of whatever, but now we can just scroll through the instruments to find a pad we like, right? So. And if we stumble across a pad, sometimes, you know, like you have different ways of doing this. Go find something. Right, it's kind of like a diminished kind of chord. Maybe I want to use that, maybe I don't. But now you guys have the idea, right? So you basically took, you know, math instructions, put 4 bars to it. Now, like, if that pad sounded really good, shape it to sound perfect. And in terms of like making an ambient song, play a little solo on top of it, track a little drum loop that you sampled from, say, Sugar Ray's "I Just Want to Fly," and just put that in the background. You can have like and have a piece finished. So idea to finished product with what? Like if I didn't have any of this gear, I could still do this. So do you kind of understand what I mean? So you might be in luck that all you have is a MIDI keyboard, because now you're not going to spend $10,000 worth of gear, and you can get your musical ideas across.
I just want to also say that with MIDI keyboard, this is probably one of the best things you could own if you want to understand music. With the technology nowadays, you can make songs without actually knowing any music theory or anything. But having some knowledge of that stuff is going to give you some extra abilities. For example, instead of just trial and error and just seeing what this note sounds like, and if you like that, you can do that. It's a different process, it takes longer. But if you can hear something in your head before you record it, and then go and create that, then that's where that comes in. That's where that's really going to help you out. And there are a lot of instruments, a lot of people that play instruments here as well. Some of them make more sense than others if you're learning. Guitar players probably know that. Learning theory on that instrument is a long process. So definitely the keyboard is is a good piece of hardware, not just to interface with your computer and input notes, but it is the only instrument that really clearly makes sense and that you can see the chords relationships with it. So regardless of what instrument you play, or if you don't play an instrument, a MIDI keyboard is probably one of the best investments you could make other than the actual software itself.
Great way to learn math too, in terms of as it pertains to music. Like you said, chord relationships, harmonies, knowing what velocity sounds like and mapping, we're going to talk about this later, but the strength or intensity at which you hit the keys of a MIDI keyboard translate into a signal, right? Like a short signal for light or a large signal for hard. And you'll see that you're going to start wanting to map those things to play your music expressively. The synths that are programmed into that massive, that thing that you guys just saw there, most of the presets there have settings that say, well, if you press it lighter, make sure you open up the filter just a little bit. And if you press it harder, open up a lot. So some of those sounds are programmed to sound like the higher or the stronger or lighter you press the keys. But you're going to be able to take that and be like, no, okay, I want to start a patch from brand new. I want a synth sound, but the louder I play it, I want it to change pitch. I want it to sound more out of tune the louder I play it. You can map those all in Ableton. So you can map any of that MIDI information. You can map the keys on a keyboard to trigger, since it's sending static individual bits of information, you can use that keyboard to trigger not just like a VST instrument like we're seeing here, but you can use it to trigger a drum rack, you can use it to trigger whatever. So you might have an instrument in Ableton with 50 channels of toms and drum samples, and you're a percussionist and you're showing up to a DJ gig or a band gig as a percussionist with a laptop and a MIDI keyboard. Right? And you have all the programmed, and then you might have a master control for the pitch. So if the band is playing in a different key, you can just pitch all the instruments down automatically and now play your bongos and your toms just like you would if you had like a really expensive keyboard with a million sounds. You can start collecting sounds. You can record all your sounds, save them into a folder, drop them all into a drum rack so you can play samples of your voice, of your significant other, whatever you want, like sound samples of nature, parties, that sort of thing, and bits of information. Anybody hear house music that has like long vocal messages that are like talked instead of sang? You can do stuff like that because you have knowledge of music software.
Acapellas are also great. If you have acapella tracks, you basically have a vocal track that someone already recorded.
Yeah.
You can throw beats and things over that. Does anybody know why Ableton is our preferred software? Any Ableton users? So a few out there. Okay.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of different recording software types out there: Pro Tools, Logic, Cubase. The thing about Live, as the name suggests, it was created to have a very intuitive workflow and to make it so that you don't have to interrupt the music making process as you're recording. Or some DAWs, you might have to record a bit, stop. You can also do this in a way where you constantly have things going and you're making loops and stuff, and you can add to it. It's a very intuitive program, and definitely the most powerful for the kind of stuff we do.